Hello, we're Team Fairness, and I'm going to talk about some horrible things, despicable, evil. There's this human practice of demonizing the enemy. So, like the Jewish people, like Roseanne Barr, the lunatic, she says that the liberals are eating babies. And this is what has always been the practice of humans, to say that the side that you're fighting against, trying to defeat, they eat babies. So then the people that are fighting the Jewish people would say that the Jews eat babies. So they're talking about vampirism. I was listening to Roseanne Barr. They drink human blood. You can do a search for any evidence. I did a preliminary search for evidence of this, and there's people that have, on the very much a minority, people have crazy mental disorders. So weird stuff happens, like Jeffrey Dahmer was a cannibal. There are cases of human sacrifice recently. There was the narco-Satanists. They murdered a man named Mark Kilroy. And they tortured him to death so that his ghost, his spirit, after he's dead, would serve them out of fear. So the idea is to get someone so afraid of you that they'll do anything you want. And this is like the extreme example of terrorism to get people to do what you want from fear. And we have a problem in our culture of this. So I talked about the extreme, horribly evil extremes. And then the general population, everywhere I've ever been, my entire life, there's a cultural problem. And that's what it uses. It uses bullying and fear tactics to protect itself from being found out. We saw this in the Supreme Court hearings on Kavanaugh, because Kavanaugh was involved in the Devil's Triangle. We hear this with football teams, people, mainstream, what you would think were ordinarily good people have been involved in rapes and terrorism against the victim to shut them up. Yesterday, I heard many times that I need to shut up. And this is what evil does. It wants us to shut up. So there's an old adage, shut up or put up. Shut up or put up a fight. Well, I'm putting up a fight. So is all we need to do is talk. We're not going to be silenced. We're Team Fairness. We have the most power on the planet because we serve the all-powerful oneness that is everything. So this includes all the religions. It doesn't matter what religion you are. Agree to be fair to other people, to be kind, to not do people wrong, and we defeat evil. So you can believe that only your God has all power, and we can believe that the oneness does. What's the problem? If your belief allows you to be kind to people, to not do other people wrong, then we can defeat evil. See, it doesn't matter if you're a Jew, Mormon, Satanist, Muslim, you name it, atheist. If you can get on the Team Fairness, the one that believes in, our branch that believes in the all-powerful oneness is our specific religion, Church of Fairness. But the purpose is the same. It's to establish the World Fairness Agreement. So we get everybody to join with us with this mentality that we're not going to do people wrong anymore. We're even trying to not have any unfair thoughts about anyone. And we're being kind to everyone. And we don't allow people to do others wrong. So when we see that someone's being of a mind, you can tell that they're not being fair to other people. They're part of this cultural problem of shutting people up so they don't get found out. Well, this is addressed in the World Fairness Agreement. If you stop doing people wrong from now on and start being kind to everyone, you're totally forgiven and we're never going to find out about you. We're protecting your secrecy. You don't need the devil to do it. We do it. All of us. So we can stop this cultural problem that becomes very extreme and very evil. It really does. Like the narco-Satanist example. That's just one example. There's a lot. There's a lot of examples worldwide. So the rulers of the planet, the government rulers and the religious rulers, they're exonerated. They're forgiven. We don't care what they did. They don't go to prison. They don't get tried for war crimes. Doesn't matter which team wins the way it is now. The other team, the leaders of that team are going to go to prison or get killed when the other team wins. So this is a division instead of wholeness. Wholeness is holiness. So by everybody getting on board, or let's say a large majority of the people are with Team Fairness, and so we're calling people when we see you're being controlling. What's going on? We'll help you. That's not fair to you be controlling of another person. It's not fair for you to bring up rape as a way to control people. Now, if you've raped someone, nobody's going to know. Just stop doing it. It's not fair to rape people. This is one of the main cultural problems we have, is rape. And Kavanaugh on the Supreme Court is a good example of how they silence the victim and they blame the victim. I'm being blamed right now for making this video by the power of evil. And I want to tell you, it is enjoyable. It's, what's the word? I get grace. I get a feeling of like I'm worthwhile by defeating evil. So I'm helping the good people of planet Earth so that their daughters don't get raped or murdered, so that their sons don't have to go off to war and get killed in a war. So it's a good purpose. It's a good life's purpose to stay focused on doing something good for others. Defeating evil is doing something good. Everybody's invited to join us and to defeat evil. That's what Team Fairness does. That's what the Church of Fairness does. So if you have a God that's a specific person, like Jesus is your God, or Satan is your God. So maybe you give Satan all your crap, or maybe you give Jesus your crap. You know, it's like somebody said to give it to God. What do you do with your crap? Give it to God. Well, if God's a specific person, then that person gets all the crap. Maybe that person doesn't want the crap. Maybe Satan does. Maybe Satan doesn't want the crap. Maybe Satan tries to give it to someone else that he has control over, and that person has to eat it for Satan. What goes on in the human mind is really weird. I have one. I know. And there's stuff goes on in the human mind that's coming into the human mind from non-human. They're here now. We can't see them. Faith is belief in things unseen, like spirit guides and demons. So the battle between good and evil is very real. And it's evil to control someone with the threat of rape, or to groom someone so that they put out on command from fear. That's rape. So this is going on worldwide. It happens with the Muslims, raping non-Muslims. Look into what happened in Sweden with the Swedish people being raped by the Muslims. It's part of these old religions to rape. The Jewish Bible, take the women and you own them, and kill the man and make the women wear your clothes or something weird like that. And you can keep them for a concubine, that they're forced into having sex with you. In the name of God, in the name of Yahweh, in the name of Jehovah. So Islam's the same model. They claim it's the same God. So the higher beings that I'm working with, they wanted the world to stop having gods like that when Christianity was formed, and Gnosticism happened from that. And it almost happened to where they were going to put the Old Testament aside and not include it in the new religion. But it didn't happen. Then the Roman Empire took over, and so it became a way for the Roman Empire to control the whole world, to eventually rule the whole world through Christianity. Constantine, it said that he had a dream that he could rule the world with the cross. What's the cross? Jesus said, drink my blood and eat my flesh. It's human sacrifice. So it's the fear of sacrifice, the fear of your daughter being sacrificed, or your son, or you, or your wife being sacrificed, a human sacrifice, unless you surrender to the group. In Mexico City, before Cortez came over and forced Catholicism on them, with Jesus being the human sacrifice, and the fear tactic was if you don't surrender to Jesus, you're damned to hell. Well, they killed people. If they, like the Crusades, like the Inquisition, they tortured people to get confessions. The people were being tortured. Of course they'd confess. They had the strangest ways to determine if a person was lying, if they floated or if they didn't float in a pool of water. Stuff like that. They had like the Iron Maiden to torture. So when you're forcing someone else to do your will, you're doing evil. Do you want to be known as being evil? Or do you want to be known as one that stopped evil? It's not hard. Everybody join Team Fairness or the Church of Fairness. And it's not acceptable to be unfair to other people anymore. The way our culture is now, it's very acceptable. It's part of the economic system. It's part of the religion. To exploit and to be unfair. So this cultural problem goes right to the top. That's why we need the exoneration, and they're not, I forget the word for, there's forgiveness and there's the removal of guilt for joining us. You're not guilty of anything for joining us. You're totally forgiven and you're not guilty. And it's kind of like, it's based on something real. We're born into this culture. And we didn't want to be born into a culture like this. So some people are prone to becoming evil from it more than others. It's not their fault, is the idea. So they shouldn't be found guilty unless they live in a culture where there's no evil. Then they would be guilty if they did wrong to others. But they would be like a minority at this point, and the majority of them would call them on it and say, we don't want you harming yourself by doing things that are unfair to others. What's going on? You know, you're not in trouble. Just stop, and you're forgiven. See what I'm saying? If you have a better plan, let me know. Thank you. I love you.